Now, the presidency has refuted assertions by opposition politicians that President Bola Tinubu is weaponizing anti-corruption agencies and destroying multi-party democracy. It characterized the accusations as scapegoating, deceit, and a desperate attempt to gain cheap political advantage. In a statement, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onunuga, dismissed the opposition figures. He says they are a failed group engaging in subterfuge and an empty search for scapegoats. Well, according to him, they're amusing lots drawn from a dying political party and failed political office aspirants, regrouping on a platform still struggling to find its footing. Rather strong words there.
Indeed. Well, joining us now to discuss Nigeria's anti-corruption campaign amid opposition claims that the presidency is politicizing anti-graft agencies is Dr. Otive Igbuzor. He's the founding executive director, African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development Center. Thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this conversation over the weekend, but it's not the first time we've heard accusations of anti-graft agencies being weaponized by the governing party. It's an old narrative, but let's bring it to this instance where we have two compelling narratives. The opposition says anti-graft agencies are being weaponized. The presidency says no. Accountability is finally catching up with powerful figures. What do you think is really going on here?
I think that, like you said, it's not a new accusation. Right from Obasanjo's regime, through Goodluck Jonathan, to the present administration, anti-corruption agencies have always been accused of weaponizing it, going against opposition politicians, and leaving the members of the ruling party, whichever ruling party is in power at that time. And if you look at, from those of us who are observers, it is clear that the anti-corruption agencies, whether by design or by structure or by self-censorship, focus on opposition candidates. There's no doubt about that. However, I think that the way we deal with anti-corruption in Nigeria cannot give us the expected results, because corruption is a global problem. In fact, just recently, in the United States, a real estate agent was pardoned by Trump, and recently in the United Kingdom, an anti-corruption minister was accused of corruption and had to resign. The difference is that in Nigeria, people engage in corruptible practices and go away freely without anything happening. And if we see what is happening, you discover that there's no systematic and comprehensive way of dealing with corruption. And so we focus on, is it being weaponized? Is it not being weaponized? Are they using it as to fight opposition? And we even leave the substance. Right. Whether was there corruption. In fact, some people have made argument that, look, let's be clear. If you look at the world today, there is discontent from below. And there is no government that will stay forever. So if it's weaponized today, and we get all the opposition people who are actually corrupt, then in a few years' time, a new round of people will be got it. But you know, if you look at what is happening, it's also worrisome that there's media trial, and if you look at the what is published as the anti-corruption claims against these people, you get worried. Take, for instance, the one that is bringing all this discussion by Ngige. The allegations are that he gave contract to cronies.
Abuse of office.
Abuse of office. You did not see any, I didn't see anything of saying he received kickback, he diverted funds, yet, you know, HIDA documented 100 high-profile anti-corruption cases in Nigeria that are lying waste. So this gives credence
to the claim,
right?
That
of
it's
weaponizing.
That's being weaponized.
However,
very quickly, so I can.
Yes, my focus is what do we really need to do to deal with corruption in Nigeria?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question that I would like to ask you, because in the course of campaigning, President Tinubu said, look, my approach to fighting corruption will be preventive, you know, prevent or remove those factors that enable corruption in public office. I recall former President Goodluck Jonathan also said the same thing. Can we prevent rather than, you know, going after this
That is
this
the challenge.
person? What is the best approach in fighting corruption
in fact,
in Nigeria?
that is actually what you'll be focusing on. If you want to fight corruption in any country in the world, you focus on 3 issues. You focus on systems, sanction, and society. What we call the 3S.
Right.
System. You make sure that the system make corruptible transaction difficult, if not impossible. So systems of procurement, financial regulations, code of ethics, monitoring and evaluation will be there. Secondly, society. You know, in Nigeria, we are living in the 21st century and we behave like people in the 14th century. In good climes, when you see corruptible transaction, even if it's your brother, your sister, you will go and give evidence.
That's the problem.
You know, so society, but what we find here, people say, don't run after my party person if my party person is corrupt. Don't run after my tribe person if my tribe is corrupt. If my tribe person is corrupt. So society must have to have disapproval of corruption. And then if these two fail, sanction. However, all over the world, there are 5 mechanisms for ensuring accountability. The challenge with Nigeria is that those 5 mechanisms are not working. What are the 5 mechanisms? Yeah. Number 1, internal mechanisms by ministries, departments, and agencies. In fact, without anybody checking, every ministry has financial regulations, has code of ethics, has monitoring and evaluation, and system to make sure that things go on. If that system, if that falls, legislative oversight, that's the second system.
And you know, let me quickly come in there.
Yeah.
This legislative oversight that you talk about, the House of Reps has just responded to Dangote's whistleblowing about the NMDPRA boss in the person of Farouk Ahmed, you know, claiming that, or alleging, if you like, that this man spent about $5 million
yes,
on paying secondary school fees for his children in Switzerland. Yeah. A lot of people have been expecting EFCC or ICPC to quickly, you know, come in, but thankfully the House of Reps has. It speaks to the point that you made.
That's the point I'm making, that you do not even have to wait for oversight, because legislative oversight is expansive. It includes the law establishing the agency, the procurement procedures, the policies, the delivery of services, the utilization of the budget. And every government agency in this country, both at the federal and the state level, has one committee oversighting it. The third is the anti-corruption agencies. You know, the fourth is the media. which has the responsibility to hold government to account. And the fifth are citizens and citizens group. The challenge in Nigeria is that these 5 mechanisms are not working properly, and we want one leader who will wave a hand and deal with corruption. It's not going to happen.
Dr. Igbuzor, we have to go by in 20 seconds. Can we realistically, because you did highlight one issue, which is the former Minister of Labour, but the broader conversation is the threat of a one-party state and the mass defections we've seen from opposition parties to the governing party. The accusation is that they are being forced and coerced using the anti-graft agencies and the police. So the question really is, can we realistically separate voluntary defections, as the governing party is claiming, the presidency is claiming, from political pressure, you know, in a system where you have this intersection between enforcement and politics so closely? In other words, if people commit crime just because you know, they're in the opposition, are you saying that the government can carry out the acts without being labeled as, you know, coercive?
Yes.
Very quickly, please.
If you look at it very well, yes, you can say, make those claims. But if you really look at it deeply, you will see that we have a rascally and irresponsible political class that has no power, staying power. If you look across Africa, if you go to Ghana, for instance, the 2 major political parties there are from independence. If you go to Sierra Leone, the 2 major parties there are from independence. If they lose election, they sit in their destiny and wait. But the political class in Nigeria are prostitutes.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Dr. Otive Igbuzor is the founding Executive Director, African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. It will be nice to have you back and discuss this even further. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
On Newsnight.